Hello, I'm Dick Supthen. Welcome to my metaphysical world. And today, I have been looking forward to this show. My guest is metaphysician and human potential trainer Stuart Wilde, who has influenced millions of people with his books and his seminars. And we were just talking a few moments ago about how long we've been in this business doing what we do. Stuart, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Dick. It's just a pleasure to talk to you, right? I never believed I'd ever wind up on your show. I'm so glad.
Well, I'm delighted to have you on this show. And you are in Ireland, in Southern Ireland, because I'm still laughing about this, in a 42-room mansion or stately house.
Yep.
And it's kind of a nightmare, buddy. Tell me about it.
Well, it's just a very beautiful, like the lands are very beautiful, and there's a river that runs through my garden, and the Irish are completely crazy, and I have a plumber that lives in the house that tries to keep the whole place going. It's like an old, rusty ship that's trying to sink all the time, you know?
Oh, my God.
But so that it's perpetual nightmare, but we actually really enjoy it, you know, and sometimes I bring meditation groups here and that sort of stuff. But, I mean, I don't really use it as a commercial residence. But a few groups have come, and they've enjoyed being in Ireland, and we take them to the pubs and the mountains and that kind of stuff. So it's Irish. It's very Irish. Ireland is completely...
I understand that. I have loved my time in Ireland. It's been several times that I have visited. But now you're residing in Ireland, correct?
On and off, yeah, on and off. I travel a lot, but I do have this place here, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, well, I need an update because, I usually will hear about different people, but it seems like over the years lately, I have lost track of where some of the key people in this field, where they are, what they're doing. So how about a quick update? Could you...
Yeah. I mean, I pulled out a bit out of the seminar business, and I just didn't want to go gigging anymore. And I was down in Australia, and I built this massive house down there. It was huge. And then I kind of had to go gigging to pay for it. So, but in the last few years, I've just written my books, and I still write on the internet, stuartwilde.com. And so I've got my loyal readers that follow me every day, and... Mostly, Dick, I spend a lot of time every day going into trance and just watching visions, you know.
Really?
And that's been my life. I've kind of become like a visionary, and so I write prophetic visions and other visions, and I teach on the internet, and that's what I do.
Well, I saw this morning because I wanted to look you up, so I was in a Cracker Barrel restaurant in the middle of of Texas somewhere. And I saw these mystical visions. You talked about these the symbols in Jesus' hands and floating Camelot, and I thought, man, I got to talk to him about all this. And
well, the thing is this, I'm not really Christian, but I've seen lots and lots of visions of Jesus, and some of them are very technical. That particular one that you read is a very technical vision.
Right.
And but I put it up there anyway, even though perhaps not all of my readers would understand it, but... And then, I've seen visions of Gaddafi. I predicted Gaddafi's passing a year before he died, and Mubarak was another one. And I predicted Silvio Berlusconi, that he would fall after 25 or 30 years in power. And he looks like he's just about out the door, because I saw him go down, you know?
Just about, yes, sir. Well, you were talking about even a San Francisco earthquake.
Well, I have. I mean, I've seen that earthquake 3 times recently. And it's very close, but I've been trying to nail the exact date and time and minute, and I failed. I completely failed. I couldn't get it. I just couldn't get it. So I just admitted to my readers that my inadequacy has got the better of me.
Well, I noticed you said that, and I liked that. I thought you told them. You said, well, I just can't get it, so I'm going to back off from this for a little while.
I'm going to back off. You see, the thing is that I believe there's an intelligence in there that's feeding all these information. Because there's some days when I get 200 visions, you know? And a lot of it's to do with dimensions and this and that, and some of them are silly little visions that just tell me to eat less eggs and more lemon juice or something, you know? But, that system of communication will not give me the San Francisco earthquake. And so I've had to kind of lick my wounds and shuffle off when it comes to that. But the earthquake's coming, but I can't tell you exactly when.
Right. So, well, What now? What else are you doing? You said you backed off a bit from the seminars because you always said.
Well, you know, it was hard gigging.
Seminars.
Yeah, I mean, I used to do these really big gigs in Amsterdam and Las Vegas every year, and they were huge.
Right.
I mean, like sometimes we'd have, you know, I mean, they were expensive seminars, and we'd sometimes have 800 people, whatever, 1,000 people.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I stopped doing that. I am going to go back to it next year, but I haven't done it for a couple of years because, I don't know, I just found the gigging and the traveling and all of that got to me in the end, you know?
Yeah,
And
I
then
know.
you wake
I
up
know
and you
that
wonder,
well.
you're trying to help people. I love them and I want to help them and I'm there. But then sometimes it gets too hard, gig after gig after gig, you know?
Right. Well, you wake up wondering what city you're in.
Yeah, you don't know where you are, and you start to lose track of who you actually are. You're not committed. You're not connected to that metaphysical light inside of you, and you're thinking, wait a minute.
No, you're more committed to surviving. Surviving the bad food, surviving the road, and you know, that's just what it is for a while. So
that's
then
what
I
it is
like to
for a
go
while.
home and I like to recuperate, but the more you need to be out on the road, well, the less of that you get to experience. So
yeah, and of course, every single person that you have to help, you know, they take a small part of you. I mean, they're entitled to because you're there trying to help them. But you know, in the end, you can get so drained, and I just sort of stop. But I'm going to go back to it next year. I'm kind of looking.
So you've hidden away and you've recouped, and are you going to bring something very different back or not?
Well, a bit, because I'm going to do some healing seminars. I'll share something that's very private, but it's not private because I have written about it on my site. But I've had stigmata for 18 months. You know, the sensation of these nails and skewers going through my hands and my feet.
Whoa.
And on my head as well, you know, the brambles, the thorns. And what happened was that at the end of 18 months of that, and it was like day and night, 24/7 for 18 months, I could see this light in my hand. So when I lie in my bed at night, there's this sort of river of light that goes up my arm and out through my fingers. And so I've got a feeling that, like, eventually I'll just go out and do healings and so on, rather than teaching metaphysics, because I've kind of I got to the point where my metaphysics was too complicated for people to understand, you know?
Yes, I understand that. Sure.
Yeah, and then you don't want to bemuse them, and you don't want to make them angry, and you don't want to make them feel inadequate. You want to try to love them and teach them the best you can, you know? So
I can see where... So I can see that. I really can see that. You feel like
even if you read that Jesus vision, on StuartWilde.com, it's pretty technical, you know.
Yeah.
So
Could you explain that a minute? Because probably.
Well, I saw Jesus, and he had a chunky men's watch on his wrist. So I thought, well, okay, that means like the time for Jesus is now, or the modern Jesus. But on his right hand, he had this hoop with a line sticking down. And I couldn't remember at first what that was, but then I looked in my notes, and I'd seen the vision 3 or 4 weeks ago. And at the bottom of the hoop, there was a number 22, which is the number of the magical healer. And so it seems to me that vision said that this is the time for the power of Jesus. Now, that power of Jesus, I've seen visions that say that he'll go into 5 people, and one or more of them may be women. You know, it's not necessarily all male Jesuses. But then I've seen how it bounces out of those 5 people, and it can go into 10,000 people, you know. So last year I saw 200 visions of Jesus, the returned Jesus, and the light was landing. And so I think as the world gets darker and darker, and there's all this talk of war and so forth, that Jesus' light is here to grant people absolution and healing and a second chance. You know, I think everybody's entitled to a second chance, providing they have a bit of contrition and providing they've at least worked on themselves a bit and tried hard, you know?
Right. Oh, man. 200 visions.
I'm sorry?
You had 200 visions
of Jesus, yes.
Yeah.
In 1 year. Yeah, and one of them was really extraordinary because, well, in one vision he came up to me and he just showed me his hands, and there was no wounds in his hands at all. And in another vision, I was at this little church, and I saw him by the altar with my eyes open. And he came over to me, and he gave me a lamb, and he put it in my hands. Okay, it's an etheric lamb. It's not a real lamb. But I could feel the weight of the animal. I could feel the heat of its body in my arms, you know?
Yeah.
And then the third vision that was really unbelievable was I could see him on Golgotha. He was on this cross, and he was very calm, and he was in no pain at all. And it was a moonlit night. It was a moonlit night, and are you still there?
Yes, I sure
Yeah.
am.
I can hear this beep beep sound now all of a sudden. I don't know what that's about.
I don't know what that's about
Okay.
either. But
All right. Anyway, I saw him on Golgotha, and I was underneath him, about maybe 20 yards below him under the hill, and he was on this cross, and he was really calm and serene and powerful, and like he's very good looking. You know, he would be a supermodel here, you know?
yeah,
Very
yeah,
good
yeah,
looking.
yeah.
And he has shoulder-length hair. He's got very dark skin as well. He's not sort of like the blonde Italian Jesus of the paintings, you know? He's more Middle Eastern looking. Anyway, I saw him on this cross, and then he emitted this purple light, this purple mist out of his chest. And I was watching this mist just forming out of his chest like a sort of little bit of a small cloud of purple fog. And then he fired it down the hill at me. And here in 3D, it hit me in the chest, and I fell over backwards. Luckily, there was a sofa behind me, and I didn't hurt myself, but it completely knocked me over.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was it. So that's
So
it.
what did you make of that, other than I could see you being moved into a position of doing more and more of the work that you're probably destined to do?
Yeah, I think that's it. And I think he was just being kind. Do you know what I mean? I think that, you know, I mean, I've fought long and hard, and like I go into trance, and 6 seconds after I go into trance, I can see the hell worlds, you know? And all the ghoulish entities and the demons and the flying reptiles and all that stuff that's in there, you know? So I've been fighting in those hell worlds for a long time, you know, knocking those ghouls down, you know? And I've got three or four...
exactly. Is the lower astral planes, or how do you...
Yeah, it's about as low as they get, the demons.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, they're really ugly, you know? So I don't know if it was that or what, but anyway, when I got hit by that purple light, I was moved, you know? And then I had a vision of Jesus that lasted 7 hours. And this light came in, and I saw it with my eyes open and my eyes shut. And I was with a group of people, and we were at an ayahuasca ceremony. And the light was strobing around the room. You could see it with your eyes open. And the other people could watch it. And it lasted for 7 hours. Absolutely. I mean, this golden light, this utterly beyond words, celestial beauty, you know? So
what were you doing? Were you lying down? Were you, did you have your eyes open?
Both.
Okay.
I could see the light with my eyes open, and I could see it with my eyes shut. And the light was strobing around the room. It was about, let's say, an oval, the size, a little bit bigger than an NFL football. And it was going chung, 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 all around the room. And it went round and round the room for 7 hours.
Oh, my God, man.
Yeah, there were 4 or 5 other people there. I can't remember. Probably 4, me and 4 others. And they could watch it as well. It wasn't like, it was only me that saw it. You know, we were all watching it. It was, we were gobsmacked. And anyway, at the end of the 7 hours, we were exhausted. But I've never seen so much golden light. And I've made these predictions that the Virgin Mary will appear in the sky in 3 places in the world, like an apparition of the Virgin Mary. And I've seen her a lot as well, and so sometimes when I see him, I see his mother faintly in the background, and then other times she comes closer. But I've stuck my neck out and said there'll be 3 major apparitions of Mary, like, let's say, Lourdes or Fatima, that kind of thing. One in Russia, one in Africa, and one in South America.
Wow.
So we're waiting for her to show up. We like her. I mean, she's fantastic. I mean, I love that Virgin Mary. I don't know, she's just so motherly and wonderful, full of love.
Right. Well, now, does this in other major characters that would be associated with Jesus, Mary Magdalene and so on?
I haven't seen her, but, like Jesus, they believe, and I believe as well now, was an incarnation of Krishna. And Krishna was part linked to Vishnu, So Jesus and the Hindu god Vishnu are very, very connected. So I've seen a number of visions of the Hindu gods, Vishnu and Shiva, and there's a monkey god called Hanuman that's a sort of inner world fighter. He fights in those astral planes as well. And so I've seen visions of him, and I've written about the Hindu gods on my site from time to time, but they're linked. So Jesus, Krishna, Vishnu, and the Maitreya, the Buddhist, the Buddhist Messiah.
Right.
Yeah, he's linked. He's linked to, they're all linked.
Well, now I can see where you were being conditioned for what you were to do during a time of What would you call it? Would you call it a time of transition?
Yeah, I think the world goes into a crisis, because of war and economic stuff. But then also I think it is a transition because it's a transition to a golden age, Yes. It's like that's where you find your soulmate. That's where you come good, Because I don't know, I don't think Jesus was perfect either. He got angry and he beat up the money changers in the temple and all of that.
Yeah, he cursed at the olive tree and he did a lot of things.
Yeah, and they say in the Bible, he was hanging out with the wine bibbers in the pub and, you know what I mean, he had girlfriends or whatever, So I don't think he was 100% perfect himself either, He was kind of a bit of a scallywag as well.
Yeah, and he had to play a role too, and so he played it. And oh man! But so, do you see yourself at a point in time, like soon, where you will probably just be? You feel that's what you're conditioned for? I can't.
I do. I mean, I think as metaphysicians, our time will come when the 3D reality of sort of ego trips and iPods and self-gratification and so forth dies. When it dies, people will be ready to listen to the message. Do you follow me? Right now, we're up against a lot of distractions.
Yeah, we certainly are.
And then with the economy collapsing and maybe there's another war starting up, people are going to want to question things and people are going to want to be rescued. They're going to want to know what to do and where to go.
Do you see a second coming? That's almost a cliche, but I mean,
yes.
Do you see a second coming of some kind, or do you see Jesus just spreading the light to so many people?
Well, what I saw last year in these 200 visions was, I saw the Jesus light approaching, and it's accompanied by a thing I call the solar logos, which is like this massive, it looks to me like a massive transformer the size of a small house. And it's firing these celestial codes and fractal codes, and it's linked to Jesus. Jesus is like part of the descent of this celestial sun. Now, we watched that logos, or I watched that logos land on Earth in July this year, and Jesus landed with it. So the second coming has kind of come, but it's not necessarily one person, because you imagine if one person suddenly became Jesus somewhere.
Oh, my God, yeah.
They'd kill him in a week, I mean, he wouldn't last a week, So the Jesus energy is far too clever for that, and so it's more like light inside people, and more people are seeing visions, and more people are going through transformation and processing their shadow and stuff, and they are gradually arriving, and so at that point where they arrive, the Jesus light will meet them. But it isn't exactly, let's say, one person, and he's, I don't know what, he's Jose.
That makes a lot more sense. I can be easy with that, and hey, listen, we got to break away for a minute or two, Stuart, and we will be right back. So we're getting warmed up. Hang in,
Thanks very much. Okay.
All right, we'll be right back. All right, we're back again, and I'd like, Stuart, if you're willing, tell people how to find you, and I know your website, any future seminars, everything else. Okay, buddy?
Well, I'm on stuartwilde.com, STUART. And when you get there, you can click the Stuart Wilde A-list, the mailing list, and when and if we get things together, then we'll send a notification out on the A-list. And so that's the way people stay in touch. I don't do personal readings or personal sessions because, I don't know, I'm not really qualified to do that kind of work, And then I have done a certain amount of healing sessions in the last year or so, but I'm not that organized on it, so... At the moment, it's just the stuartwilde.com website, and if they want to stay in touch, they can click the RSS feed, and they get an email in their box every time there's a new article that goes up,
And you're writing a lot of articles, it looks like to me, darn near daily, right?
Yeah, I kind of post one vision every day because I've got hundreds of them that I don't post, So I pick the ones that I think are topical or interesting, and I've got one going up tomorrow, which is called, When is World War III, Mummy?
Oh, there. Well, that's going to generate a little interest, right?
Yeah. Well, it's all to do with this business with Iran and the nuclear bombs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
God, yeah. Well, are you seeing, well, first of all, I want to say to everybody listening, I know I've been very foggy, or the signal has not been as good as it could be. I've been on AT&T, and now I'm on Sprint, and So I don't know if this is an ad for Sprint, but by golly, I understand we're coming through a lot more clearly than we were before. Back to what we've been talking about. Do you see some of this? Are we moving toward, in your mind, Stuart, a 2012 time of any particular event coming to pass that is going to be a transitional event in itself?
Yeah.
How do you view all this?
No, I mean, yes, definitely 2012 is a big shift. There's no question of it. It's not just because people believe that the world may end because of the Mayan calendar and so forth, but it's just that the world that we know is ending, you know? Now, it may not end on January the 1st, 2012, or even on December the 23rd, 2012, but it's ending. And then when people can't see the material world and the sort of the ego world, then they're going to turn within because they're going to need something to sustain them. So we are on the verge. I think next year is when all the teachers and the metaphysicians get this massive boost, you know? Because, like, over the years, we haven't had much of a voice. You know, we kind of got marginalized as being a bunch of nutters, you know?
Well, yeah. I've noticed that.
Yeah.
I have noticed that. So.
Yeah, they didn't want us. But the fact is that what's weird is that we're going to be proven to be correct. Do you follow me?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah. I
so
mean,
now, do you have a new book coming out that supports all of this, Stuart?
I've got a little book that I just wrote that's called Plum Red, and it's the story of some Taoist sages from 500 BC. Their stories, they're kind of metaphysical teachings, but they're written as stories, you know? And that's out now. That's on my website. And again, I don't have a lot of distribution for it, and I can't really be bothered to struggle. I just wait. If people want to order it, you know, they post it out, you know, pretty much the same day.
Yeah,
and,
well, that distribution thing, you know, that's a nightmare we all share. So
and you know, you ship 1,000 books to some company, and they send you computer readouts of what they owe you, and like 2 and 3 and 4 years later, you get a check, and I mean, it's like, who needs it, you know?
Yeah,
and,
I know. I know very well. Well, no, you and I could. We could sit and compare notes over a few glasses of wine or beer or something one night, and I would love that time.
And are you still living in Sedona, or you've moved from
there?
No,
I'm not living in Sedona. I've been living in Malibu, California for a long time, but no, I'm moving back to Arizona. That's my roots, and back to Scottsdale, and I'm looking forward to it very, very much. So. But how much time do you spend in the States now, Stuart?
Well, I come in short bursts. You know, I've got friends there, and like I'm pretty much there every year. But I don't stay for very long because I'm not gigging, and I've got no reason to stay. But I just visit friends and go back to the places that I love. You know.
Sure.
I go a lot to BC, British Columbia. I go there a lot every year. I spend like 2 or 3 months every year in BC. And, so I just sort of, you know, travel around. I mean, I've been traveling around for 20 years. I went out for a bottle of milk and a packet of cigarettes 20 years ago and never came back. I
went out for a bottle of milk and a pack of cigarettes 20 years ago, and I haven't found my way back yet. I never
went back. I mean, I don't smoke anymore, but I haven't smoked for 10 years. But it's like I don't know, I just wander around, and even, you know, I don't like to sort of hang out. I was in Rome last week seeing the Pope. And,
were you?
Yeah, I went to see the Pope. It was interesting, really interesting.
Now, you got to tell that story. Come on.
Well, okay, because I'm actually going to post it on my site. But I saw this vision, Vishnu, the Hindu god, right? That's kind of like equal with Shiva. He's got all these cobras behind his head. Yeah. And I saw Vishnu's cobra in a vision on the steps of the Vatican. So I thought I'll go to the Vatican. So off I go to the Vatican, and I saw the Pope. I mean, I was like about 20 yards away from him. And he's got orange Prada shoes. He used to wear red Prada shoes in the olden days. They're $800 a pop, you know. Anyway, and I lost sight of this cobra. I didn't see the cobra when I got there. But 6 hours later, I was in a restaurant, and the cobra came back. So I don't know what he was doing, you know. But then I had this incredible vision.
In what context did he come back? Just a vision?
Yeah, I just saw him in a vision. He was back. He was behind me, you know, where he is sometimes. He sits there behind me sometimes. And then I saw this pile of rubble. I saw a vision of a pile of rubble that is in a courtyard that's right next door to the Vatican. And it was just builder's rubble and trash like bricks and planks and bits of cement and, rebar. And it was all gold leaf. It was all gold. It turned to gold, like as if somebody had put gold leaf on the bricks and the rubble. And so I surmised from that like the Catholic Church is going to fall. It's going to fall to almost bankruptcy because of all these scandals and so on. And then it will be rebuilt in gold. It'll be rebuilt so that the faithful have something really true to believe in. And so
interesting. Do you feel that was the real reason you went to Rome?
I think it was, just to see this stuff and to write about it. And interestingly enough, the week after I came back from Rome, which was only last week anyway, the Irish government closed their embassy in Rome. Now, I mean, Ireland is one of the most Catholic countries in the world, and they closed their embassy because they were so pissed at the way the pedophile scandals have been handled in Ireland with the priests and the bishops and that kind of stuff,
Boy, so I was there about 5 years ago, I guess, and they were so upset at that time that was all that was in the newspaper. It was just incredible, and I thought, whoa.
Well, I think the perception is they didn't come clean, They didn't come clean. They tried to hide it.
And so they actually have closed down.
Yeah, because in the Vatican, the Vatican's a city-state. I mean, it's like a country. And in the Vatican, in the surrounding streets, are all the embassies of all the Catholic countries in the world, and maybe even non-Catholic countries, I don't know. But all the big Catholic countries have an embassy right there in the Vatican, and the Irish closed their embassy down. Yeah, they pulled out of town, so it's kind of interesting. So I think things are going to shift a bit in Rome, and it would be good if it got cleaned up, because it's good. I mean, it's a very simplistic religion, and it's a very sweet religion, and there's millions of babushkas in Russia with their rosary beads and little old dears in South America, and they need to have a cleaned-up church to believe in.
Yeah, I certainly would agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, we need Arnold Schwarzenegger to go there and clean house, as he would say. I'm here to clean house.
Yeah, well, I don't know about Arnold, but he didn't do that good in California, but someone like him, yes.
Someone like him to clean house a bit and to make it more like, I mean, not necessarily cheesy, righteous, that sort of thing, but like spruce it up and get rid of the rats that are doing this strange stuff and hurting.
Well, then maybe he could come back and deal with our government. That would be, a good next step.
I feel so sorry for Americans because they're victimized. I mean, they're victimized by the Federal Reserve and the banksters and the government and all the lies. And, the pensions are disappearing. The houses are not worth hardly anything compared to what they were worth before.
No, I know.
I read somewhere that 1 million Americans have been thrown out of their home in the last 2 or 3 years.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's traumatizing. You save all your life to be in a house for your family and your children and your relatives, and then suddenly, hey, you're out on the street, and the home's going back to the bank.
Yeah, but we may have some people at the helm who would just enjoy that happening. So
yeah.
But you and I best not go. We best not go there too far. But
no. But I mean, we don't. But the fact is that it's so sad for people. It's so sad that the institutions that they trust have let them down so badly.
I would agree. I would like to think that out of a transition, if we are really going into a major transition with 2012 and 2013 and so on, that there will be a lot of this cleanup. I mean, it will take place just automatically. It seems too good to be true, but I'd love to think that that's it. And I hear you talk about these visions, and oh my God, man.
It'll be forced upon them, Dick. It'll be definitely forced upon them because, the debts will come home to roost, and some of the stuff's going to unravel. It stands to reason. And a lot of people want to know the truth. They want to know, hey, how bad actually is it? And what's the truth?
So what are you addressing a lot of this stuff? Are you addressing truths in your writing on the web column? Stuart,
I talk a lot.
Go ahead.
Well, I talk a lot about how love transforms us all,
Good.
And, I mean, I'm not sort of like a finger-wagging author that's sort of outraged by things, I just tell people the visions that I've seen, For
yeah,
example,
we've always had a humor about everything.
It's sort of, you know, I write, you know, they used to call me in the olden days the drinking man's guru because I write for people that maybe don't have a lot of technical knowledge, but I try to write in with words that they're going to understand and in a kind of down-to-earth kind of way. So, no, the finger wagging doesn't really work, you know, I mean, and I don't want to sort of, but you can see how, like, you know, this whole thing has been going on too long, you know, and people deserve the truth, and they deserve a fair chance, you know, because they don't really have a fair chance. You know, the jobs are being shipped overseas, and, you know, and the houses are being repossessed, and it's like they don't have a fair chance, and that's really, I think, what the ordinary citizens want is a fair chance.
I do, too.
And they're hard-working people.
Ireland has got its problems, too, does it not? I mean, they are...
they're absolutely massively in debt. They're massively in debt, and they haven't really reduced the welfare or anything like that, and then they've got rid of a few civil servants, but I really don't expect Ireland to survive, you know?
Oh, really? So,
no, I mean, I don't think that Ireland's going to be around in a few years from now, you know, not as a socio-political entity, you know? Because it doesn't...
It's going to follow Greece right down the pike, huh? Jeez.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Oh, they're going to follow Greece.
Yes, well, they are going to follow Greece because they're not fixing it. They're just pretending to fix it, you know? And yes, the exports have gone up, and they've made a bit of money on excise duties, and they're doing well. But the ordinary citizens here, I mean, they're in dire straits. And the government hasn't really tackled the root core of what the problems are here, you know? So,
right on. Well, wow.
So I don't know about Ireland.
You're in a 42-room house, stately manor in Ireland.
Well, I am,
yes.
At the moment. Just started through with my own plumber. You have to have your own plumber when you move into a place like this.
Well, yeah, if you need your own plumber to keep the plumbing going. I can understand that. Now, you know, what about other things like Wi-Fi and telephones? Obviously, you're doing...
we've got telephones.
You were doing a lot cleaner call from Ireland than I was managing from New Mexico.
Yeah, but it's not fair. It's not fair. You're on a mobile phone, and I'm calling on a landline, you know. I bought a new phone today. I've got a brand new Panasonic, so it doesn't crackle and blip, and I can make the call properly, you know. I mean...
Good.
It's just like, I don't know, in the end one has to have a compassion for humanity, you know. And I sort of spend a lot of time, some time at night praying, and I blow love to people that are intensely evil, you know. But it's like we have to believe that God will rescue everybody, even the worst of them, you know. And we have to believe that everybody has to have a second chance, and everybody has to be given a chance to, you know, make an act of contrition, make amends, see the errors of their ways, and then if they don't, they don't. But I don't know.
They don't.
Yes,
but
they don't.
Do you feel that people are basically, you know, there are dark entities, there are dark souls here who have come in to create the chaos, and they too would be given a second chance, or not?
Well, they have to be at least shown the possibility of a second chance, and then if they just want to stay with their evil ways, well, there's nothing one can do about it. But I mean, the way the world is run, I mean, there's a lot of dark entities that are controlling everything, you know?
Yes, I totally agree.
And so the dimension of the ghouls and the hell worlds is vast. And what happened to me about 4 or 5 years ago, I saw these cactus spikes on my hand, like thorns.
Right.
And I asked, you know, just this sort of higher intelligence, the higher self or whatever, I said, what am I supposed to do with these, you know? And I heard point and shoot. And so I would fire the cactus thorns off my fingers, and this little purple dot of light would fly in a curved trajectory and hit one of the ghouls and degrade them. So I've been, like, in these hell worlds, degrading these ghouls with a few friends of mine who can do the same thing.
Well, you're shooting cactuses from your fingers. Cool.
Yeah, we just fire from your fingers. Yeah, just fire from your fingers. And then later on, it got more sophisticated, and we were rubbing them out in bigger numbers. But it was like there is a war going on, an Armageddon in the inner worlds, where the forces of light and the Christian armies and Shiva's armies and Muslim armies, but all the celestial armies are attempting to destroy the devilish, ghoulish entities, you know, that are...
Isn't that, yeah. Well, I've tapped into the same thing, so...
You would have seen that.
I would agree.
You would have seen that. And I think, like, here we are now. Like, I think this is a chance where people in this incarnation can really come good. They don't have to be perfect, you know. We came here to sort of proceed and to improve ourselves. We didn't come here to become perfect, you know.
I like that.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah,
we're not
I always talk in terms. Chances are, it's not going to result in enlightenment this time around.
Doesn't
Maybe,
matter.
but probably not. But it doesn't matter.
It
So,
doesn't
hey,
matter.
we got to break away again for just a minute or two, Stuart. So hang in.
I'll hold on.
And please, everybody who's listening, please stick around. We have a lot more to go. All right, we're back again. Stuart, tell people how to get in touch with you or to find out more about what you're up to, okay?
Well, I'm on StuartWilde.com, and they can read the site. I post every day. And then on the site there's a Stuart Wilde mailing list, the A list, and they can click and include their name there. And when anything's happening in particular, then we'll email them and let them know, you know. Or they can go on the RSS feed, and they can get something sent to their email box every day telling them, hey, there's a new article or whatever. But essentially, I'm posting all my visions on the StuartWilde.com site every day.
Joe, and you're spending a lot of time writing, my friend. My God.
I do. Luckily, Dick, I write very, very fast. You know, I can write a book in 5 days. And,
yeah, I write a column a week, you know, which is, boy, it seems like it comes around awfully fast.
Yeah,
so do you have a time you get up early in the morning and you sit down and you do it, or are you disciplined?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I kind of just hear the words in my head and I type them out, and then I just edit them a bit, and I have somebody proofread it, and boom, it's off, it's gone, you know?
Well, that's pretty nice. Now, little voices in the head are nice. You know, we don't have to pay them, and they work, and
Well, this little voice knows how to write, so that's a good thing. You know?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Hey, let's talk about, we're talking on break, and we're going to come back now, and we're going to talk about the idea of reincarnation and soul retrieval and all that sort of stuff. So talk to me about what you're doing in that area. I know you're not really individually counseling, but I know you still end up getting being called,
you know, I've taken a lot of people to South America to take the sacred brew ayahuasca.
Right, yes.
On the ayahuasca ceremonies, they see all that. They see the inner child pain. They can see reincarnations. They can see the good things and the bad things about various relationships they're in. And they see the heavens and they see the hells. And so a lot of it, I didn't actually do it. I just, like, officiated, you know, like I was like a shaman pouring a drink. So I was only sort of like a celestial barman, nothing more than that. But that's how I did it.
Celestial barman?
Yeah, celestial barman. But I mean, I've sort of officiated over 4,000 people's journeys, you know. And so that's what I've been doing the last few years. And it's perfectly legal in South America, and it's legal in a couple of other places. Like it's legal in Portugal, for example. So I've been doing it in places and taking people there for them to kind of come into this integration, you know.
And you really have seen benefit, real benefit as a result, right?
Well, yeah, the reason why is because ayahuasca replaces the DMT in the pineal, and a lot of people are DMT depleted. And DMT is like the spirit molecule, you know,
Right, I'm with you, yes.
Yeah, and so they start to see visions, and they get inklings and intuitions and feelings, and it's a massive change for most of them, you know. And some of them come for 20, 30, 40, 50 journeys, and others come for 2 or 3, and then they've kind of, you know, achieved what they wanted to achieve. And they go.
Right.
But that's how I've been teaching people, is through these sacred ceremonies in South America and so on. And
wow. Now, is there other teaching as well? Are you, you know, setting them up for the experience?
Yeah.
They have the experience, and afterwards you process them down, or what?
Exactly that. I set them up for the experience. I told them what difficulties might arise, or you know, what to do when certain situations happen. And then afterwards, we have a kind of pretty long sort of, you know, session where people talk about what they saw, and if they don't understand something, a symbol or something, then I'll explain to them what it means or what my experience of that symbol is and so forth. So, that's exactly how it's done, you know. But a lot of people get in touch with their pain, and a lot of it's inner child pain, and, you know, I mean, it was their karma, let's say, to have, let's say, a brutal father, but hey, they can't be stuck with that for the rest of their life. They've got to ditch it and go beyond it and understand that was their karma. And now they can become something more beautiful and more close to God and more compassionate and less angry and so forth. So it's all part of the process. That inner child healing is so vital.
I agree. I totally agree. So do you, but only so many of the people that you work with in South America or Portugal and so on, only so many of them are having inner child issues. Some of them are dealing with a romance that it's right now. Right?
A lot of it's just right now, or it's money, or it's finances, or they call it the medicine, la medicina, because it's considered a medicine, like that it goes in the pineal and replaces the depleted DMT. And the DMT is depleted because of lifestyle and diet and modern stress and stuff like that,
Right.
But then they deal with like day-to-day stuff, whatever. And then sometimes they're sort of shown a celestial panorama, and that can go on for half an hour, 45 minutes, and they're shown all these inner worlds, celestial worlds, and then they see beings, golden beings, and so forth, and they see the spirit of nature, Gaia, and it's an extraordinary journey, And then sometimes they see the hell worlds as well, so they get to
I got to say, I bet you some of them are certainly diving into that, or at least to view it, certainly.
Yeah, and it's good for them to see it because they get more knowledgeable and they understand that we're in a sort of, we're in a dance of light and dark. It isn't all light. Yeah, so people that are very sort of, I don't know, if they're very sort of pretend squeaky clean, it's always scary because it hides a lot of darkness,
Of course.
Yeah.
But talk about that. Are you willing to talk about that? The inner worlds, the worlds of light and dark. Well, we're talking about the worlds of light, but what about the worlds of dark?
Well, I've been in those worlds of dark for I calculated it a couple of weeks ago. I've been in those worlds more than 10,000 hours.
Wow, you're kidding.
There are 970 levels to the hell world that I know of. And there are some
970 levels in the hell world.
Yeah. And the upper levels are sort of like, they're very sort of dark, bony imps, and they're sort of strange, like they're sort of internet devils. Let's say, for example, imps that are born out of, let's say, internet pornography or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
And then you go further down and you see these digital fractal faces, and they're sort of would-be kings, and they usually have accoutrements, swords and emblems and crowns and that sort of stuff.
Right.
And then you go down even further, and then you get into the very, very devilish forces down there. And eventually you wind up in the reptilian area where they're very, very thick reptilian beings, flying beings with claws and that sort of stuff. And at the very, very bottom of the hell world, Dick, this is interesting, is a thing that I've called the brown lumpy wall. And what happens is that the ghouls inside the hell world, they lose mobility. They get slower and slower and slower.
Yes.
And eventually they descend into this wall, and they kind of coalesce inside a wall where I suppose they never can get out. They still have, let's say, eyes that blink, but they're sort of embedded inside this muddy wall.
Whoa.
And that's at the bottom of the brown, and I call it the brown wall, Brown
right.
Wall. And
well, now, how could you're envisioning? Are you going there out of body? Correct, Stuart? Or
it's sort of out of body, but it's inwards. You're not like moving around the room. You're in trance, and you go down, so you can feel yourself in there. If something hits you, it hurts. It's not just imagining. It's real pain. If one of the ghouls hits you, if you don't duck fast enough, it hurts.
Whoa! But do you have you have those who are traveling with you protecting you to?
Yes.
Or are you on your own? Your own life has to be...
Sometimes we'll gang together, and 4 or 5 of us will journey together, and then we'll sit on the ground back to back. So one's facing one way and one's facing the other way.
So you're ready for anything that's coming at you?
Yeah. Okay. And it's usually coming up through the floor. So there's a hell world I mentioned. If you're facing north, and you put your left hand by your hip, and then you move it out a foot, and then you move it back a foot and point. That is a hell world in that direction. And it's 240 it's 240 degrees around a compass. So if you're facing north, you have to come past east and south and move towards west, and at 240 degrees you stop and you point. And that's a hell world, and that's where some of the beings come up from there, from through the ground and upwards,
Whoa.
So, So that's because it's very interesting. And then again, I'd say 90% of the time, or maybe more than 90% of the time, I'm on my own. But I've learned now over the years how to be nimble and quick and how to get out of trouble when things go seriously wrong, you know.
But you have to be able to be nimble and quick, and not to show fear. I would imagine, such as being out of body in the lower astral planes.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm using one terminology and you're using another, and that's the same.
No. The terminologies overlap beautifully. No, it's exactly that. If you flinch or if you give an inch, you know, you'll get swamped. So you have to have your best foot forward, and no matter what's coming, you got to keep facing the front, so to speak, you know?
Yeah.
And then they degrade, those ghoulish entities degrade because you refuse to move, you know?
Yes.
So it's like they whack a wall, it hurts, they're a bit dazed, they come back, they whack it again, and they realize you're not moving, and in the end they fall apart. But they fall apart by your insistence that you refuse to move, you know?
God.
Yeah. So it is a bit, it's a sort of, it's like a sort of Mexican standoff where eyeball to eyeball, and if you don't move, they will go in the end, you know? And it's the same with people when they're faced with troubles, you know? If they let the troubles swamp them, they get even more swamped. But if they stand strong and do practical things, you know, the troubles melt away, you know? It's like, you know, I don't know, whatever threat it might be. But generally speaking, if you stand strong, you'll be better off than if you cower and you collapse, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, man. Do you feel that there are a lot of, I know I have talked to people on the show before who really, you know, they are dealing with people right here on this level who are alive at this time, but are such dark entities that they're having to fend them off here and now or at night.
Yes, that's definitely, especially at night. Night's the worst time. And one of the things that I have done is I've worked on a lot of, 38 demonic possessions where people are completely possessed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And there was one guy I worked on recently. He was in an insane asylum, and he was but he wasn't insane. He was just possessed of entities, you know?
Right.
So I coached him how to get out of the asylum, and they let him out. And then I told him, come to Ireland, and he stayed with me for 30 days, and I healed him, you know? But, there's a lot of humans...
You dealt with it,
Yeah, I dealt with it, yeah. But there's a lot of humans that are very, very demonically possessed, and okay, they may be diagnosed as schizophrenics or, you know, in various psychosis, but it isn't actually mental disease. It's the influence of these entities inside them, you know?
I would agree. And on this note, we have run out of time, Stuart.
Oh, shame. We're having good fun.
This went by way, way too fast, my friend.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I want to thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thank
Stuart.
you very much. And I'm very honored. I'm very honored to be on your show.
Well, doggone it. I so appreciate it. I'm going to ask you again. Okay?
Well, I'd be glad to come back, you know, whenever, you know. You just have to get your people to email my people, and then I'll be happy to come on.
All right. Thanks, buddy. We got to run.
Okay.
Talk again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.